Hi everyone. Okay, welcome to now. So I thought I'd do a collective reading. We're just going to do all the signs in one sort of path, I guess. What do I see? I guess it probably will have some kind of understanding, right, when there's sort of like a line. But none are less stronger than the others, depending on where they're at, right? But we are going to work through, I decided to make it easier, is to work through the modalities during this time. This is recorded in Aquarius time. Aquarius really likes astrology and technicality, but of course I read intuitively, so it's kind of a mixture. Pisces, Aquarius, you know. So anyway, we're going to go through the fixed signs, then the mutable, and then the cardinal. Okay. And we'll choose a card, and I have this pocket book of constellations, and so maybe there will be a star also. If anyone would like to timestamp, please feel free. Otherwise, we shall jump in. Actually, as a collective energy, on the bottom of the deck, we have the Nine of Water, which is entitled the Rainbow Mirror in this deck. This card talks a lot about having healthy steam in your body, which is an equal proportion of the right proportions, if you will, of water and fire equals steam, right? It's kind of Sagittarian energy too. This card also speaks of internal integrity and the feeling of peace and joy within a person, especially internally, that emotional space. Okay, so that's really beautiful for everybody. As much as we can, you know. I know a lot of people are going through a lot of hard things, and I pray that any of you are suffering, or in whatever ways you're healing through suffering. I hope that you can find peace in that journey, okay, and feel nurtured and safe in that process. Okay, I hope this helps. So, some way, somehow. Let's start with Aquarius. Let's see. Aquarius. Oh, Capricornus. Okay, I was curious. Some of these, so this could be something to be aware of. So, it says, in early fall, you look south. This is if you're north, quote-unquote, of the equator, but in early fall, switch it, just do the mirror if you're in Australia. In early fall, look south, about halfway up from the horizon, to find the bent triangle of Capricornus. What you will see with your eyes is the brightest star, Algedi, A-L-G-E-D-I. It is an optical double. Interesting. Two stars that look close, but are really they look close as if they are together, but they are actually separate. This is through what you will see through binoculars. Now we have a tool. Is this constellation's second brightest star a true double star? That is a pair of stars that circle, that actually want to work together, not just blended together, right? And what you will see through a telescope, which is even a stronger awareness, is there's a star that floats just south of the goat's tail. So when you're actually looking at the triangle, you turn it, probably be that way. I mean, the stars in the sky kind of shift, but the triangle itself is down there on that little tail part. Says Capricornus, the stars aren't bright, but they are easy to find. because they are in an uncrowded area. The bright spot at the right is Saturn. Okay. Oh, it also says Capricornus may show the goat god Pan, who changed partly into a fish to escape the monster Typhon. That may be something, a story you also want to look up, Aquarius. All right, let's see your card. All right. Oh, you have two. Oh, wow. Okay, so you have the crossing and death. Basically the Two of Swords and the card of change. It's like I want to be astrological. It's like I want to tap into a certain energy that I'm aware of and kind of make that the foundation, but there's this bigger feeling behind it that knows that part matters, but it doesn't really matter because it's about how you feel about what's happening, not what you think is causing the feeling to happen. Like projecting the reasoning why it's like that onto this thing that's out of your control. It's like trying to figure out what it is that is happening regardless if one didn't have the understanding of this other thing. Does this make sense? Your conversations are always so... It's so hard for Saturn energy to get into the feeling, I know. So let's be practical about this for a second. Both these cards would represent looking at your finances. Particularly if you're Saturn rising, so Aquarius, Capricorn rising. So there's a big shift here, right? You've been growing into this change. And I guess with the death card being a representation of something that is like a natural process, there's not really a way to rush what's going on here. Because I feel like someone is trying to prepare emotionally or trying to like shift something emotionally and not try to figure out, again, it with your mind. Not fully, because it's going to disregard the capacity to tap deeper into this soulful place to understand or understand more about what is really going on, the changes you have been through, say, over the last couple years, and could even be the last few months for some of you, like really, if there's been any deep processing here. But this is also considering, like, because I see you can't see the future, but a person wants to be ready for it. So how do you prepare for something that you don't know what it's going to be? But we can always feel what it is, right? Can't we always feel it? Even if we ignore it, right? In the end game, we always remind ourselves and be like, oh man, I totally picked up on that. Or like, I knew, like, it. But you're so smart and there's a lot of information in there. It's hard to process, right? I would also look at Pluto in your map. That's pretty powerful. Just a second. What is he looking at? Oh, the Fountain of Love. The Ten of Water. Oh, when you open up all the when all the parts are open, what causes you to shut down? What causes you to fully like embrace something, especially like emotionally. What causes emotions to shut down? What causes emotions to overflow? We'll put it that way. That's something that I see something like your soul wants you to know, or just to be conscious. But the soul is looking more at the emotional than it is the mental, which is actually really, really good, right? I guess the undercurrent is we're trying to find power, faith. This is emotional knowledge or emotional maturity. I suppose if this could also be ancestor energy or people that have passed on to other places or that which you're not connected to anymore, but still understanding like that love is not we don't create love is. Interesting. You know what, because of the time frame that we're talking about, this we're gonna make these readings like this is all fixed energy, number one. Okay? Because so I guess air is holding, air is having the conversation to the rest of the elements. And you know what, with Saturn going through your sign, at least at this time, or getting up into that, it's this is a good time to examine the mirror of Saturn, which is moon space. You know, it's home and feeling and family and comfort and fears. Moon always brings fears. You know, just kind of being aware of it. Again, like what causes the emotions to shut down, what causes them to overwhelm or to just pour out. And Pluto is super strong right now, I feel like, for everybody. Saturn energy too. And so what this represents, I guess, in a if we break it down, would be really big changes in whatever we've been building, and understanding it's like whatever is shaky will be really obvious. And so try not to hold anything together that is like you know, about to explode out, or like it's because it's about allowing something. Zumi loves birdseed. Interesting. I would actually say there's already, if we go in the order of where this is, the direction and where it's looking, it's well, I see it's something about finding your power in the future, you know. So maybe some folks feel weak right now, which is natural for this time of year, this season. And I guess that goes with that internal integrity, right? Like, we got to acknowledge where we're weak or stubborn, or where we could be more mature with our emotional expression. Because fixed signs, it's like it's all or nothing, right? It's like either open or closed. And so having a better understanding, Aries talks about this a lot, the cardinal. Mars energy is like how to turn the knob, you know. And realizing when it starts to get too stiff or stuck or gunged up, you know, all gunked up, and you gotta figure out how to make that smoother, so that the internal mechanism of all the little gears in there are working as they should, so you don't have to necessarily take the whole thing apart, you know, to get in there, all the different panels and layers to understand what's broken. It's like, because it's not broken right now. Some things are just just need some attention. Do you know what I mean? Some adjustment. And I feel like because this is Aquarius time, we all know what really, where we could improve, or where, like, Although the confidence of what we know, if it's purely just intellectual and not emotional, is going to feel really shaky. Even that which people have built in an emotional, like, comfort zone, the power of that kind of faith, it still could be a time of shaky. So, you know, but I suppose that humbles the soul, you know. Maybe doing a little family history, or like looking into that a little bit could be helpful. Not to dig into the past too much, but just to understand what you're carrying, if it's like a bridge, you know what I mean? Like, where is the, if you're crossing, if it's a bridge and you're crossing over water, what was the last solid thing, like, that you had, or where you felt like your feet were on the ground and it felt good? It's interesting. I've been seeing a lot of birds that come in threes. I don't know what that means, but they're all the same kind of bird. All right, let's move along. Actually, I'm going to wait until 17. I'm going to give it, let's give ourselves 42 minutes. $30 seconds. Smell the flowers. Blow out the candles. Okay, cardinal energy. So we're going to look at Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Okay, interesting. So your undercurrent for this collective modality is the way of the cross. I always see this as like an initiation card in a way. All these arrows are in the bullseye. Like, it's right in the center. I would look at, if you have any stars in the bottom of your map, quote unquote, the lower half of the horizon, the nighttime area, that's being highlighted and healed in there. It's whatever's talking to Mercury or Gemini. And then I just saw a tree growing like up and big. So I'm actually curious what the woman that created these cards have to say about it, because these cards are a little different. Okay, it's interesting. It kind of matches with the fixed energy. It says, so the way of the cross says, death comes to the old way of thinking. A new perspective arises. You have learned to think in ways of nature, and your thoughts are clear. You are transcending old patterns of thought that have kept you caged in a reality which no longer serves you. You feel as if your spirit is rising on the winds of change, and underneath that is the lightning path, which is actually the way that the crab walks. So we have Cancerian energy. I also see this as Uranian energy. And this shows a path, you know. But I guess you had to practice to get here, right? Because before the way of the cross comes the screen, which is like a kind of a little bit of mental tweaking, or like pain. It could even be painful, like conversations or thoughts, just working through feeling a bit stuck mentally. But again, it's part of that initiation, right? We have to face our fears to elevate to new places of where things are more, like, less cluttered, right? So, cardinal energy. Let's choose 3 cards for you. Oh, the book first. I forgot. Sorry. Tell me when. Oh, you got Leo. I should write these down. So this was Capricorn, and you got Leo. Cool. So fixed energy, you got cardinal energy, and cardinal energy, you got fixed energy. So Leo, the brightest star in the constellation of Leo is Regulus, which is actually one of the 4 royal stars, and it was called the Heart of the Lion. The Heart of the Lion right here. So it says to find it in the spring, or if you're in Australia, it would be the opposite. In spring, look south to the Big Dipper. The stars of the Leo's head form a backwards question mark. See that there? With what you will see with your eyes, cardinal energy, is Leo's chest. That is marked by a blue-white double star, Regulus. Chest is also Cancerian energy. Now, if one uses binoculars, so we have a tool here to get a little bit closer. We're using both eyes, right? The red variable star, R Leonis, is in front of Regulus. So the heart is actually, this is R Leonis. This is the heart of it, above. So R Leonis is in front of Regulus. It brightens and dims over a 10.5 month period. Interesting. So it has to replenish its energy. I suppose if it's what is in front of Regulus, which is the heart of the lion, then it needs to, this is about replenishing energy, right? Now, if we go through a telescope, so now we're going, a tool that shows us even farther, but we use one eye for that one, right? We're focused, we really focus. There are 3 stars all gathered together which huddle under the lion's belly. 2 of them are spiral shaped. Oh, that's interesting. It says bright Regulus at lower right in the photo. I'll show you in a second. Is at the bottom of Leo's well-known sickle-shaped astrum, which is that backwards question mark. It's sickle-shaped, so there's a sickle is to cut wheat, right? It's almost like death carries a sickle, right? It's Saturn energy. It's very hard. You have to use both hands for that, you know, and you have to find a rhythm to not actually exert your energy so much to be able to do it. And you need to do it at certain times of the day, depending on the season, so that you are the most efficient. Okay. I would also look where Regulus is in your map. Everybody has it in a place, so that could be helpful too. Been loving this kind of color, like burnt sienna. Reminds me of Bob Ross. He was a Scorpio, Bob Ross. Let's see, Cardinal, what's your first one? Oh, the Sister of Fire. Beautiful. So maybe some of you have a sister that's important here. This is also like soul sisters too. It's your second one. Ah, the Father of Water. So this is also, there's something here about, this is somebody's father. So this could be your grandfather or somebody's father some way down the line is there with you. I feel like that's more of a passed on energy. This sister's is bright and alive though. Let's see the next one. The Four of Water, which is the flood. And I felt the need to look at the bottom. We have clarity. we have clarity on the bottom. 6 of wind. And beneath that, karma, which is actually Libra's card. So I'm seeing Aries, Pisces. So lots of, all of these feel watery to me. You know when the water is just like a little bit, you know it's still cold? Like it's still a little cold? But it's warm enough, kind of. There's something that causes a person to be like, yeah, I can do this. I can get into this. And then you get in there, and at first it's just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then once you fully submerge yourself, right, you just dive under. And you're completely submerged. What happens when you come up out of it? You become sort of one with the water. So the friction of it, the frictional feeling of it isn't, again, you become one with it, so it isn't a friction. Now the thing about that is you can stay that way for a while, but as you are you and not fully just water, eventually you get to that point where someone's like, you know, your lips turn blue and you're kind of like shaking, and it reminds me of like when kids do this in the water, and there's always some adult or some kind of mentor or like somebody. It's not a disciplinarian, it's someone that's just like giving information via awareness, because sometimes we don't know and we need each other to help each other, you know. But they're like, you know, instead of being like, hey, you're an idiot, why are you in the water so long? You know, cussing and screaming. It's more of, well, I heard, hey, you want to come in? Like, you want to come up here? I got lunch. I made lunch. And they're like, yeah. And then you wrap them up in the towel, like blankie, and you sort of readjust back into this earth space. So maybe some of you, it's felt a little distant emotionally, or, I do see some people going through their own things here. It's a good time to do it. Now, this is also a really beautiful time to flush out, what do I see here? It's 4 generations ago. It's also 4 relationships if you've had them. I see if you've ever been divorced before, it's allowing something to, it goes, oh, here's Leo. We're talking about heart space, I guess. It's giving to those that you love. This feels very family-like. This also shows the moon in Cancer to me, so and that happens once a month, right? The moon in Cancer. And particularly for Capricorn, Aries, and Libra, every time this happens during each month, this is all year, or at least over the next few months, this is important, where it could be emotional, it could be kind of overwhelming, like sort of, it's not exactly confusing, it's just not your element, you know, most of you. And even the crab doesn't go deep into the ocean. You know, it doesn't go in all the way into Pisces, it stays close to the shore, you know. It's kind of like it doesn't want to get too, you don't want to get too sucked out there. Have you ever been in the ocean and like had the, I'm seeing it where like the ocean, someone's in the ocean, they're just playing, but then they like get pulled out because they forget to pay attention to where they came from. So it's where something was, or where they were, what's important that they're standing upon. So you want to keep an eye out. I see on your own emotional nature, right? Because remember, you're on this lightning path. And you've made it through the screen, which also connects to the tower. So this is some pretty hardcore stuff, right? The nodes will also be going into cardinal energy this year, which represents big shifts for people too. So again, remember, if we're at the 10 here, and if all the arrows are in the bullseye, then someone's been practicing. But it's almost like, again, they're a little bit down below. You just got to keep, now that you know where the center is, now that you've been grouping things, then you can move it up to this, to the like next peg. Does that make sense? I do feel like sisterhood's really important. Father also represents to me like really mature, masculine energy. There's a great strength with it. There's a great magical, like masculine mysticism. It's not a possessive energy. It's not an aggressive energy. It just is. It knows itself. If you do happen to have water father or like have a deep emotional connection to the males in your family, I feel like that's just important. This obviously relates also to strong fire females. This can also be air females, Scorpio, Pisces too. Because what I see here is actually a lot of openness, like allowance, where it's like, okay. Because the thing is one doesn't know the answer. And they're not halting their process or banging their head against the wall trying to get through something that they can't. It's just dealing with it as it comes along. And I would say whenever the emotions want to move around or have an opportunity to be expressed, please do. Don't hold them back. Because it's also purifying something here. With Cancer, Leo, again, and Virgo. So I guess it's also, this is how to purify too, is taking some consideration. Because you got to get the feelings out of the way to be able to have a clear mental space sometimes, right? Or to get into that inner world in a way that brings back the passion or like warmth the person is wanting, you know, creativity, what have you. Part of that's surrender. It's also finding strength through the endurance of what you're, like where you come from. There's also some kind of conversation between I believe, or I believe that I know, right? I believe that. And then I believe that I know. There's always a bit of a question with that, right? So, you know, maybe this is some of you considering like what your belief systems around marriage, what you believe about that, like family, relationships, you know, things like this. Also, did your father have a sister? And there's somebody in the family that had 4 kids. You don't have any earth here, as the fixed signs didn't either, so this is an internal process in this time, right? processing some inner world. What do you have for rings too? I'm also seeing those little what are those shells in Africa that they trade for? It's like trade for money. Sometimes they're really big, sometimes they're small. They represent fertility. I forget what they're called. Not a conch. They like fold into each other like this. And it's interesting because they represent really strongly like femininity. And they're the same color as the moon, but they're so hard. You know, it's hard to like see what's really in there. It's okay, baby. Yeah. I would also say, since there's so much changing astrologically at this time, which I suppose is always happening, and I don't want you to define your life by that by any means, whatever way you believe, if you believe in those sorts of things, but with all the shifts, and I feel like most people can feel it, it is wise to get some emotions out, because when spring comes around, especially those, again, that are north, quote-unquote, of the equator, it's like you want to you want to feel strong then, right, and rejuvenated and lighter, right, not bloated with these heavy emotions or thoughts of the past. So please allow things to burn off. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, because this will allow you to, it's almost like sometimes it's like being in a cage that's just made of like wood sticks, you know, but if you use the fire, you can actually get that out of the way, and then I guess the emotion will ensure that the fire doesn't get too big, and it gives you space to walk, so you don't have to, well, I see, so you can understand other people's pain better, maybe understand your own better, and come to some sort of new dawn, again, about whatever these deaths of old ways of thinking or feeling are. You know what I mean? You're transcending old patterns of thought, which have kept you caged in reality, which no longer serves you. Interesting. Okay, just a second. Okay, so now we're going to look at mutable energy or movable energy. So Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, so they say. Let's see what your star is. Constellation there. Yes. Oh, Leo also. Interesting. Okay. So the fixed Capricorn, cardinal, and then the mutable and the cardinal had fixed. Interesting, both Leo. So oh, I see. It would be very helpful to go to cardinal energy, number 2. Let's choose your own star. You're allowed to have your own thing. I know sometimes it's hard to separate yourself from that which you're connected to, right? Like you're in it, but even when you're out of it, you feel in it, right? Like two worlds at once. Leo again. Okay. So you received Canis Major, which is the big dog. Looks like Zilni. So it says, most stories say that this bright, easily seen winter constellation, at least in the northern spaces, shows the favorite dog of Orion. A nearby constellation known as the Hunter is or another name for Orion. That's the one with the 3 on the belt, right? I feel like most people know that can see that one. It says to find it, face south in the winter, or north if you're in Australia. So face south in the winter and look for Canis Major's brilliant star Sirius, which is actually near the Milky Way. So it'll look like this. There's the, it's kind of like that. Remember, sometimes the stars shift as they go around. They don't ever change their shape. They just change the position that they're in. So what you will see if you look with just your eyes is Sirius, which this says is the brightest star in our skies. It has a dimmer companion called the Pup. I find Sirius to be sort of a blue star also. It says through binoculars, we're using another tool, 2 eyes, you look for a large open cluster with a red central star just south of Sirius. And if you look through a telescope, just one eye, really focus there, you will find a cluster of stars around Tau, T-A-U, like the beginning of Taurus, Canis Majoris, in the southwest corner of the constellation. So sometimes in the sky, again, it will kind of shift, but here is what it looks like, and then there's Sirius. It says late summer's dog days are also called this because Sirius, the dog star, rises then with the sun, which actually kind of connects to Leo also. Interesting. Alright, let's see your 3 cards. Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius. 1. Oh, we have 6 of Earth, which is beauty. This seems like a fun card to me. Good. This is also practical. It's beautifying your home. It's putting some love into your like office space or your creative space. There's a woodpecker. The brown belly. What's the second one? Oh, you received a father also. Earth father. Cardinal energy received water, fire. And what's your third one? Oh, the 7 of water, which is entitled insight. Interesting. Let's see what your like undercurrent energy is. Oh, good. 3 of Earth, which is entitled works, and beneath that we actually have the 2 of water, the 2 of cups, which is sacred cord. So working on relationships, working on your own self-value, loving yourself, loving what you have. Good. I feel like you're the most comfortable in this time. Generally, Sagittarius is pretty good with being open to change, right? We have to be. I mean, it's going to happen anyway, but if we're conscious of it to some extent, then we don't have to be afraid of it, right? Let's read this 3 of Earth for good measure. It says, the work you have chosen is the right work. This is a time of inventing, creating, or engineering. The skills you are using are the right skills. All things material are moving into alignment to work with you. It says expect, which means hope, right? Material success here. You will continue to succeed as long as you do not lose your sense of heart or spirit. Sacred cord. Okay, I feel like this is important. I also want to read this one and then we'll look at it intuitively. This beauty 6 of Earth card. Because this 3 doubles, right? It actually shows that there is success with that. It says, here you experience the joy of giving. You are healing yourself and your environment through realizing that the pursuit of beauty, which many call the beauty way, is the secret to all lasting success. You are not alone in your beliefs. Speak your truth, and you will find yourself in the midst of like-minded community. Great fortune becomes yours as you speak and act in the way of your deepest convictions. Speak and act, right? Air and fire. You be nice, please. You being punk? Hold on. You want to snuggle? Here. Wait a minute. There, snuggle. Okay, let's see. Mutable energy. What do we got going on here? The cardinal sign number 2 will be really helpful. The father's like looking up like this. There's this father card that's like, could be your 5th house too. It could be your 11th house, that axis. What are we talking about? It's like being creative in what you were hoping for. Understanding like what groups you are a part of, and whether, you know, like-mindedness is nice, meaning where one is understood or understood. But when the humans start making too many rules to, like, we're going against the natural grain of things. Everybody already knows really what's right and wrong. You know, we all know. Like, innately. We can feel it. And those who can't, I guess, you know, psychopathic, whatever, that's a whole nother story. Those here, like, you would, if you can feel it, then you're not that, right? And so I guess this also shows a bit of, again, integrity and awareness to, in ways of the good work of doing, this is doing what you say too, you know? So, just a minute. So you're waiting for another piece to go into something. But this is where it's sort of like in God's timing. Like you have most of it. It's there. So there may be some things where like you want to take this next step, but it's not quite the time for that. So you got to kind of be like, okay, that is 95% done. And I know this can be accomplished. But it may take a minute to find that other piece, because I don't know if you could create it ultimately yourself. Again, I feel like there's some kind of timing. It could be where a part of what a person needs to go to fill in the empty spot, if you will, or to have all the pieces go together is, well, there's something about Pisces, Aquarius, Pisces energy. I also see Taurus. And we had Leo strongly. I also see... Okay, so this is also the fixed energy too. Interesting. So maybe those months are important. I guess it's now until May. Also, there's something about that. Then I see... then it's like June, July. But when you get into July, I guess there's something about... this could also be your 7th house, where like someone's gaining insight, like emotional insight into things, but it's still a little bit confusing, because sometimes, again, with mutable energy, it's dualistic. So you're like, well, is that me? Where is that coming from? You could also be dreaming about some things. It could be very helpful to write down your dreams in this time, even over just the next few weeks. Or try to remember, like if you were like, okay, what dreams do you remember? that could also be helpful to give you some insight, but I do see specifically there could be a lot of clarity through like working through things while you're sleeping. Well, I mean, I guess we kind of do that anyway, what we've gone through in the physical world, so and if for some reason your intuition gets a little funky, or you can't seem to find what it is that you need, oh, there's that tree growing. Well, I keep seeing a bed with one of those like bug nets, or like princess nets, or whatever they are over it. What do you remember about your childhood bedroom? What do you remember about your... I know this is trippy, but we're going with, like, what do you remember about your parents' bedroom, or like your grandparents' bedroom? Like, can you... Something about people's beds. What's that one about? Hold on a second. Well, you know what it is? We're looking at that success card. That way of beauty, right? Which said that it's insured, but it's almost like, it's like, are you sure? Oh yeah, 7 of wind, and the form. Oh my God, there's the one that goes in the center. So, okay, it could be between now for probably like the next 6 months or so, averagely speaking, or whenever you find this. I guess it could be 6 weeks. It depends. Usually my readings take longer, but the point is there's like this time frame, kind of half a year situation, where there could be like this confusion about what, you know, again, success is insured. Right? It's all good. Things are growing. This Father of Earth is so strong and stable and confident, and he has everything that he needs. And there's a bed here, and there's this deep insight. So there's really nothing to worry about. But I feel like if you try to pick it apart at all, it's going to feel a little scary. Because again, there will be answers that you're like, okay, I know I'm going to find that piece because I found all the other pieces, or I created some of those pieces to put in there. So either I created, or it shows up because of whatever the path is supposed to be, I guess, whatever you're creating here. And again, here's the one that I'm seeing like goes into the center point. But it may take a little bit for it to arrive, so don't get it twisted like it's not gonna. No, there's the garden. Okay? And then we just had a brother of water. Water brother. What earth? I see earth folks like Virgo, Taurus. I see Leo men, particularly. Who are the female water signs in your life? So Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Yeah, I guess Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. What do you do to shake off your day when you get off of work? Like, what's your schedule looking like right now? How can you make that more beautiful, or just put more love into it, or just realize, like, you know, maybe some of you really want something to grow and to succeed. What are you, I don't know, what are your feelings around success right now? Are you ready for that? Because I guess once this piece comes into here, it goes from the 3 to the 6, and then the 6 to the King of Earth, which again is this huge, beautiful, strong, healthy tree. you know, it's all of it. It really is. It's success, like, it not only in an internal, it feels that way space, but it's also physically. So it gives great security. And there's another 3. Huh. This is also your father's father. Something about that. And if you do have a sister, there's something in their chart that's the same as your chart, or like you kind of have, you have similar, there's certain karmas there, but they're actually good. There's something about the 6th house that's actually good, which is nice, because the 6th house is the house of the battlefield. It's the house of illness, right? Like where it doesn't feel very much, nothing in the 6th house really feels at ease most of the time. But it's because it's a house of illness, it also can be ultimately the house of like healing, and instead of war, it can be peace. It depends, like, on our karma and how we work through the processes, which I guess have a lot to do with other people. I would definitely say, I see here also that there could be some insight about who you're involved with emotionally, or like who's that which has been in your bed or you've slept with. Something like that. You know, I guess a person's bedroom says a lot about them. Do you know what I mean? Like, what color it is, or how it feels, or like whether they ever wash the sheets, or if it's messy, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very private, yeah, it's a very private place. The one of we have the card of Dawn and the High Priestess. So there's something. Oh, again, please pay attention to your dreams in this time. I feel like you could ask him questions. You could ask God questions then. I mean, it may not make all the sense. That's why you got to write it down. Dream world is really trippy like that. You know, it's not always the way that it seems, because it's this alpha beta place. Okay. You know, Spirit knows when we've been good, right? It reminds me of the Santa Claus song, right? He knows when we are sleeping. He knows when we're awake. He knows that when we've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. Better not shout. I'm telling you why. I mean, you can cry, you can shout if you want to, but you know, I've been thinking about it, and a friend of mine, we're having a conversation to close this out. Like, she made a really valid point, you know, where it's kind of like emotions are sort of impurities. Do you know what I mean? Whether they're positive, quote unquote, or negative, it's like they're sort of impurities, because when we have peace, there is, again, love is love. Love is love is love, like Capricorn said that one time. Love is love is love. It's never something that we make or can take or can be taken away. It always is. You know, just like anything always is. It's like what we want to, I mean, I guess that's if everything's everything. Oh, there's the mountain. Then, you know, guess you get to decide what wave you want to ride, or if you want to just like move between, or, you know, if you want to become something, I guess you can too. Resurrection. Yeah, perhaps. You know, because when there's emotion, there's desire, and where there's desire, there's a fear of loss, right, or lack. And the thing is you already have success here. So, and there's the mother and the father. Interesting. If you're also looking for a partner too, or just like tighter connections with other people that feel Well, I see the glory of this glory of spirit, or like well, again, I see spirit knows when we do good work. You know, so again, what you look. Don't forget to ask for what you're looking for. You know. Okay. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for being a part of this space. It's always a pleasure to connect. I haven't used these cards in a while either. I just went through actually all my things in my house again, and realized there was like so much I didn't need, or that there were some things that I had the beautiful opportunity to connect with, and I was like, okay, again, like someone else can connect with this now, which is cool. I appreciate the process of letting go, especially in physical ways. It helps alleviate fear, you know. But anyway, it's nice to connect, and you know, because sometimes the less we have, in a way, the more, really, the more that we have. And I guess if you're working through any place here, or like inner child work or things like that, that's maybe where that Leo comes in, or your 5th house, and there's the strength. There's the strength card. More Leo energy, so that could be something. It is like Leo Scorpio mixed together, so that might be something to look to. Okay. I love you so much. Please take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you later. Here's Zumi for good measure. Zumi town. I love you so much.